Krishna, and so on, are fabricated by the sages and given to the Brahman only to accomplish a specific purpose. When with such purpose has been achieved, the names are no longer necessary. This is the opinion of Harinam given by these demonic offenders. So the point is that they say that, okay, in order for worship, you need form, you need names. So we chant the names of the Lord, and then when we reach the unmanifested Brahman, there's no need to chant anymore because you have achieved. So it's like if you want to climb up on a roof, you need a ladder, but then when you get to the roof, the ladder is no longer necessary. It's the same way, chant the holy names until you achieve your goal, and then there's no need. Because the name is simply a means to the end, it's not the end in itself. Like that. So that's they do that with the deity too. The impersonalists, they worship the deity, but they say beyond the deity is the unmanifested form of the deity, which is the Brahman effulgence. So forms are necessary, names are necessary for the sake of worship. In order to worship, you have to have objects or names. So they say that these objects and names have been created for the sake of worship, but beyond that is the truth. So that's the sixth offense to the holy name. Like that. If we don't receive proper instructions and understand that these names and names of the Lord are transcendental and always, what we say, free from anything material. Seventh offense. Okay, this is considered the most dangerous offense. I'm taking a little time. Is that okay if we go a little bit over time today? Is that all right? Or do you want me to stop? Okay. It actually makes breakfast even better if you wait a little longer. But that's not the idea. Okay, seventh offense. Mm-hmm.
To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord.
Okay. So to commit sinful activities and then chant. The mentality is now I have the tool for getting rid of my sinful activities. Therefore, I'll go ahead and do these things. I have a little illicit sex, some intoxication, something sinful. There's something against Vedic injunction, and then I'll chant, and then I'll be free from the reactions. This is a very dangerous mentality, and the holy name will not relieve you of the reaction, because the holy name is Krishna. If you consciously commit the offense and thinking that way, the holy name will withdraw its mercy. But if you accidentally or due to previous habits fall and do something wrong, and you realize, oh, I made a mistake, I committed a sinful activity, that's not offensive. That doesn't apply in this case. Prabhupada said you might have associated with some of your old friends and they have some bad habits, and because you're in that association you might do something wrong. And then you realize, oh, why did I do that? And that's accidental, it's incidental, you might say. It's due to situation. Of course, the idea is to avoid that so it doesn't happen. But if it does, it's not the seventh offense. The seventh offense is when you consciously make a plan to get rid of your reactions and then commit some sinful activity. Example was in our movement many years ago, 1974, one very charismatic spiritual master who had a following joined our movement. He was a Westerner, he was an American, and he brought about 100 of his followers. They all became devotees. And he was quite popular even within the movement, and he was very dedicated to Prabhupada. But being very innovative in his own preaching, he decided to add some innovation into ISKCON. So he started to say that it's okay to take intoxication and chant, such as marijuana. It was just marijuana. So you smoke marijuana and then you chant Hare Krishna. So his followers, most of them, not all of them, were starting to do that. And he was having some influence. And then the word got back to Prabhupada. But when they questioned Prabhupada, they said, Prabhupada, he's still chanting Hare Krishna. He's very strict on his chanting. But Prabhupada said his chanting is offensive. It has no meaning at all. Because he's committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, like that. So this is an example of how the seventh offense is transgressed like that. So is that clear? I think that's a pretty simple one to understand. Any questions on that? Yes, Roberto?
Is there any subtle ways of doing the seventh offense?
No, I don't think so. It's all based on the gross, the actual activity itself. A lot of times we also break the seven, we think of sinful activities in our mind. The mind gets wrong thoughts. But then we catch ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, we have to kill these thoughts. But if it appears in your mind, no, it's not. It's not enough. Okay? Sri Devi?
So what happened to this leader? Did he change and come back to the track, or?
No, he left the movement. And he's still popular. He preaches around the world now. He's a great preacher. I won't mention his name. Some of his devotees left with him. Some stayed and became, they're still here in Prabhupada. They're disciples of Prabhupada. So, he's a good preacher.
But how much more bad reactions are happening because he's preaching, but at the same time he's committing sinful activities. So
I don't know if he's still doing that or not.
Oh.
I don't know his present day situation. He recently gave $5,000 donation to our temple in Hawaii. He's very favorable to ISKCON. Devotees like him. No bad feelings, but when he was there, he created this wrong thing, and then, of course, he left. Mm-hmm. If I were to meet him, I'd offer my obeisances to him. He's a great soul. He's a very great soul. And he chants Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so, eighth offense.
To obstruct the glories of the holy name to the faithless.
No, that's the ninth. Eighth offense? Yes.
Consider chanting of the holy name as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities.
To consider the chanting of the holy name as one of their auspicious ritualistic activities which are found in the Vedas Karmakanda. To understand the eighth Naparad, one must discriminate between pious activities and devotional service. Again, this goes on in the Vedic culture, not so much in Western society, because we're not so much attuned to that. Sat karma comprises namitta dharma or vanashram, giving in charity, observing religious vows, performing philanthropic work, renouncing everything, including the fruits of one's labor, conducting religious sacrifices, practicing Astanga yoga. In addition, other materially pious deeds as prescribed in the Shastras are within the purview of Dharma, known as Jada Dharma. They are not spiritual. In contrast to chanting Sri Krishna Nam, it is supramundane, purely spiritual activities. Satkarma activities are only upaya, a means to an end. In other words, these other things that people perform are supportive of moral and religious principles. They can elevate one to higher planets, but they're not pure bhakti. Sometimes we find people engaged in that in Krishna conscious activities, but we don't say don't do that. We say, but they are not equal to chanting the Harinam. The tendency is that some of these people, due to wrong understanding, put everything on the same level. I do my puja, you do your japa, it's all the same. It's not. The holy name is transcendental to all of that. To think like that is offense, or to act like that is an offense. So, now therefore, concluded statement, therefore chanting Harinam must not be compared to any material pious activities, religious or otherwise. Okay, number 9. Any questions on number 8? Didn't those of you who have been brought up in that culture, did you get over that yet? No? Not yet?
No, you can, because you keep meeting it again and again and again.
Yeah.
You try and do what you can to keep meeting it all the time. And to convince your family is really hard.
Yeah.
Because they think they're doing the right thing. Sorry, yeah, you just keep meeting it again and again and again, especially where your family are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to then not to be offensive to them,
Mm-hmm.
but also to try and keep yourself
Free from that.
free from it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think, you get doubts, obviously you do. But then you say, no, but this is what I know is better for everyone, for me.
Right.
It is.
It's a challenge, yeah, especially with family
It is a
members.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, we speak Gujarati, so we say, like this weekend we did the Ramayana in Gujarati,
Mm-hmm.
but it has a different name. It's called Sundarkand.
It's called what?
Sundarkand,
Sundaka.
yeah. And so we sat there chanting it in Gujarati. But people make it ritualistic as well. So we were sitting there chanting in Gujarati, but the people make it ritualistic and they think they have to do certain things. And what do? You have to let them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's filtered into our society a lot. But if we keep hearing and have the clear understanding, we don't push these persons who have down, but we have to, at the same time, we simply emphasize what is the right principles, that's all. But their conditioning is so strong that unless they have an experience, they don't change generally. Yeah.
So then we do have a lot of rituals. We do have a lot of pujas. Even in our movement, we have the fire sacrifice, and we offer grains to the mouth of Lord Vishnu or Agni in the form of Agni. So we are also doing a lot of pujas. Why we don't simply chant the Hare Krishna mantra? Why we perform all these things?
Coming up. Okay. If I can find it, I'm pretty much. Let's see. I know where it is. I have to just hunt it down here. Third chapter. Getting close. Okay. Let's see. Since one may easily achieve the highest success by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one must ask why there are so many Vedic ritual ceremonies and why people are attracted to them. This is Prabhupada. Where's my glasses? I can't find them.
I think they fell just on the edge of asana.
Oh yeah, thank you. Absent-minded. Okay. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvam aham eva vedo vedanta krit veda. The real purpose of studying the Vedas is to approach the lotus feet of the Lord. Unfortunately, unintelligent persons bewildered by the grandeur of Vedic yagyas want to see gorgeous sacrifices performed. They want Vedic mantras chanted and huge amounts of money spent for such ceremonies. Sometimes we have to observe Vedic ritualistic ceremonies to please such unintelligent men. Recently, when we established a large Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, we were obliged to have Vedic ceremonies enacted by Brahmins because the inhabitants of Vrindavan, especially the Sparta Brahmins, would not accept Europeans and Americans as bona fide Brahmanas. Thus, we had to engage Brahmanas to perform costly yagyas. In spite of these yagyas, the members of our society performed Sankirtan loudly with mridangas. And I consider the Sankirtan more important than the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. Both the ceremonies and the Sankirtan was going on simultaneously. The ceremonies were meant for persons interested in Vedic rituals for elevation of the higher planets, whereas the Sankirtans were meant for pure devotees interested in pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We would simply have performed Sankirtan, but the inhabitants of Vrindavan would not have taken the installation ceremony seriously. As explained here, the Vedic performances are meant for those intelligence that has been dulled by the flowery language of the Vedas, which describe fruitive activities intended to elevate one to the higher planetes. Essentially, in this age of Kali, Sankirtan alone is sufficient. If the members of our temples in different parts of the world simply continue before the deity Sankirtan, especially before the deity of Mahaprabhu, they will remain perfect. There is no need of any other performances. Nevertheless, to keep oneself clean in habits and mind, deity worship and other regulative principles are required. Srila Jiva Goswami says that although Sankirtan is sufficient for the perfection of Archanam, of perfection of life, the Archanam, or worship of the deity in the temple, must continue in order for the devotees to stay clean and pure. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore recommends that one must follow both processes simultaneously. We strictly follow this principle of performing deity worship and Sankirtan along parallel lines. This we should continue.
Which purport is that, Guru Maharaj?
It's the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 24, 25, in that area. That's the whole purport. So, yeah, to give authority to our movement. But ultimately, if we did Sankirtan all the time, that would be, but we can't because we're not able to do it. So if we would need to, in order to stay pure, we do all of these, we have to do these other processes. And people have different likings, so ultimately, therefore we have to keep emphasizing that the glories of the holy name are the essential principle of success in spiritual life. Chanting, dancing, and glorifying the Lord. Okay, that's the 8th offense. 9th offense. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. All of the instructions given in the entire Vedic scriptures, the directions to chant Harinam is foremost. Only those persons who have cultivated Shraddha in Sutta Bhakta are eligible candidates for hearing the unlimited glories of Harinam. Faithless persons are generally averse to spiritual activities and to hearing the glories of Harinam. Therefore, to instruct such irreligious, faithless persons about the esoteric details of Harinam is certainly offense. Certainly, it is necessary to explain to the general population that chanting Harinam is the most beneficial spiritual practice, and that those who practice will achieve complete benediction. Yet, the confidential knowledge of Harinam and the esoteric science of chanting should be disclosed only to the worthy and the faithful. Is that pretty clear? We preach the glories, we preach about the holy name, but we don't get into the esoteric aspects of chanting. That if you chant the holy names, you'll become a pure devotee. We say chant and be happy. Chant, get rid of stress. Chant, it's a nice song. In other words, you have to be very sensitive to people who may not be ready to hear these things. Because if they take exception, then they commit an offense, or they don't commit an offense, but they create a wrong mentality within themselves, which may block them from future advancement. So you're hurting them in that sense, like that. Is that clear? Okay. And then he goes on to explain, when one becomes realized, Uttama Adhikari, one can acquire the Shakti to empower others to take up devotional service. An Uttama Adhikari can instill faith in Harinam in the conditioned souls and thus instruct them in the chanting of the Harinam by bestowing his Bhakti Shakti. However, as long as one remains a Madhyama Adhikari, must carefully avoid companionship with the faithless, the gross materialist, the disinterested, and the atheist. These are the injunctions. Okay. Everybody still alive? If you're not alive, raise your hand. Good. Then a response. Gurudev, there are many persons who initiate unfit persons into Harinam for material gain and personal fame. How should we see them? They are namaparadis, offenders against the holy name. So one who initiates for name and fame, to gather followers, for prestige or some pecuniary gains like that. I should initiate this person because he's rich. That's why if he's rich, I'll have a nice car also, because he's my disciple. So this type of mentality, is offensive to the holy name. Okay, so the last one, 10th offense.
To maintain material attachment and not have complete faith in the holy name, even after having heard so many instructions on the glories of the holy name.
Certain types of persons are greatly intoxicated by their false ego, imagining themselves to be monarchs of everything they survey, and thus they treat their imagined subordinates as their serfs with gross mentality of me and mine. On rare occasions they are gripped with the desire for renunciation and a curiosity for the spiritual unknown. They approach the learned Sutta Bhaktas to hear about the glories of the Harinam, but they do not receive this knowledge with proper faith and devotion, and eventually turn back to their material attachments. They are namaparadis, as mentioned in the second verse of Sri Shikshastakam, like that. Your transcendental name can bestow all good fortune upon the living entities. So that one, I, me, and mine offense is in a practical sense, for us here in Krishna consciousness, if we continue to practice year after year, but still maintain material attachments, and still think that these material attachments will give you success in life, happiness, or you're just attached to them because you can't give it up. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur calls that weakness of heart. I know I should give it up. I can't. And therefore I can't. I don't want to. Like that. So, sufficiently hearing the glories of the holy name, sufficiently chanting the holy name year after year after year, still maintaining that I'm this body, these extensions of my body, such as my family members, are also mine. Janasamoham yam maham mameti. Like that. So this I and my offense, like that, remained attached year after year after year. And that's the I, me, and mine offense. And that is, that one can kick one outside of devotional service, because after some time, by maintaining material attachments, one will go back to those material attachments and give up, may have a tendency to give up spiritual life just to fulfill those attachments. Yes.
What can we do about this one? Because I just what can we do about this one? Because these manifest on the level of desires, which we cannot really.
We have to cultivate transcendental knowledge. As Krishna explains in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he spends a good 20 verses explaining the difference between you and your body, between what is temporary, what is eternal. So at least we should theoretically know. We may not realize we're not this body, but at least we should theoretically know we're not this body. And then hopefully, through that theoretical understanding, we gain more knowledge, practice devotional service, and gradually we move away from our material bodily attachments. But the reason why we don't is because we don't have enough knowledge of the transcendence. We don't understand how powerful Krishna consciousness is and how powerful transcendental knowledge is. We don't cultivate it, we don't understand it. We hear it, it goes in one ear and out the other. I'm not this body. You're not this body. I know. But I'm a female, not this body. And he's a male, not this body. One of our preachers was preaching in one country in South America, and he was saying, you're a soul. You're not this body. You're a soul. And she was this very aristocratic male and female person. And she said, oh yes, I know I'm a soul. I'm a female soul. And my husband, he's a male soul. Attaching gender onto the soul. Keeping that gender concept. But in this life, you're a female. Last life, what were you? You don't know. Could have been a male. Guys, maybe you were, wearing dresses in your last life, No, even women don't wear dresses nowadays anyway. But maybe you were looking into the mirror for a long period of time in your last life. So, it's just a joke. She's very serious. She don't catch on. That's Shiv's mother. She's first time she came. Thank you for coming. Second time. You've been here before?
4 years ago.
When?
About 4 years ago.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Good. We're happy you came back. Give a little purity to our existence. She dresses her deities every day with the most beautiful, beautiful decorations. Yeah, so we don't know this gender thing. If you get overly attached to your wife, and then Haribo, you'll be Mrs. in the next life.
For mothers, there's a serious attachment for their children. Sorry, for mothers, there's a serious attachment for their children. Even when the children have grown up, I'm guilty. Okay, and to let go. And well, it's normally a mother is always saying, "Oh, when they're settled, or when they're this, or when they're that." So we always have a goal.
But your attachment is great because you made all three of them devotees. Yes, all three kids are devotees.
How do you actually school yourself, I suppose?
It's easy to see. You have to see two things. You're a mother, but you're also, your relationship is that this soul that came into your life as your children, as your husband, belongs to Krishna. That soul doesn't belong to you. You've been in charge to take care of that soul as a mother, and you do it with love, with care, and with spiritual guidance. And you develop a relationship based on that. But you should know that that relationship is based on Krishna giving you that particular soul in your life to guide and to take care of. That's all. That soul belongs to Krishna, not to you. That doesn't mean you don't have love or care, but still, that soul is not the body. It's more than your son or daughter. It's Krishna part and parcel. So you have to see both things side by side. So when you raise your children, you have to give them both motherly love, guidance, and spiritual direction. If you give one or the other, it's incomplete.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mothers in this age are not appreciated enough. Motherhood is, according to the Shastra, is one of the most elevated principles. When the Yaksha was questioning, this is in the Mahabharata, was questioning Yamaraj, not Yamaraj, but Yudhisthira. The Yaksha was his father, Yamaraj, in the form of a Yaksha. He was questioning Yudhisthira. He asked him 50 questions. One of the questions is, says, what is heavier than the earth? And the answer is mother. Yeah. A mother is the foundation of all material direction, success, and love. Father is second. He's incidental. He's needed. Mother and father. But of the two, mother is higher. And that's Shastra, not Sastra. So that's why we say there are 7 mothers. And mother means someone who is actually worshipable. So we actually worship our mother. Or we worship all women who have that position. Because they are, what we say, they give a special feature to life, which is caring and nurturing. Like that. So a mother is a very glorious position. It's not to be minimized. In this age, it seems to be quite ordinary to be a mother. It's just a routine thing. Like that. And so, yeah, it mentions that the highest person in existence is Krishna. And the second is mother, the third is father. That's why everyone remembers Mother's Day, but what day of the year, when is Father's Day? We always forget, right? We need both. There's no question about that. Everyone has to have a father and mother, and they both play different roles in the relationship to the children. But mother is the more direct role. She's the one that imprints on the child the most. Like that. If she's doing her duty as a mother. Okay, I think we got off on a little sidetrack, but any questions, comments to conclude? Yes.
I have a comment. I really appreciate Indian culture. Thank you. I appreciate Indian culture because I saw also Prabhupada when he was with his mother, he said to his disciple to pay obeisances first to mother when he was initiated.
Yeah, Brahmananda. Yeah, well, Indian culture has elements of Vedic culture in it, but it also doesn't. So to use it exclusively is not correct, because some things in Indian culture are not spiritual. But general principles of morality, civility, etiquette, and principles of how to live life properly are there within the Vedic culture and in the Indian culture. The Indian culture is being challenged by Western materialistic culture. And because it's seen as inferior, people who have been grown up in the Indian culture are accepting Western culture and thinking it's something superior or better, like that. But it's actually a spiritual culture. Even the language. Sanskrit and Hindi is very similar, right? Very similar. Okay, I think I went over a little bit. But we have most of the morning up until now, until it's just bhajans, right? I think that's the schedule. So after breakfast, bhajans all the way up until lunch. And then the devotees who are scheduled to meet with me, I think they have to see Vishnu Priya, and she can arrange your schedule. And that'll go on from, say, 10:45 all the way up until 1:30. So, okay, do we have some volunteers to organize the bhajans? We're going to need somebody to... You'll arrange that? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sri Panchatattva ki jai.